Welcome to You Have Power Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark. You Have Power is your opportunity to get answers to your legal questions. To be a part of today's program, call 407-916-674-1025 or toll free at 855-545-1025. The lines are now open. And now, here's your host, Orlando's drive time attorney, Justin Clark.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday night. Justin Clark here with you, as I am every Friday. If you have any legal questions, go ahead and give us a call. Get on the lines. Get the lines lit up at 407-916-5400. I have attorney Brandon Stewart standing by at the law firm if you have any legal questions that you don't want to air your dirty laundry out on the air, I understand. And that phone number is 321-282-1055. As always, a lot of legal information at the website, www.youhavepower.com. That is youhavepower.com. Or ask your question on Twitter. I will follow you back at ATTY Justin Clark. To my right, as always, my loyal, talented, handsome co-host, Tom Benson. Tom, how are you, brother? Good to see you.
You lie like Howard Cosell's rug.
We are here live in the studio. I was on a little vacation last week. I hope that Attorney Stewart filled in admirably for me. I know he cannot be me.
He did a great job.
But, he's okay.
He did a great job. We were talking a lot about tenant-landlord relationships, and he got 3 or 4 phone calls.
Good for him. Good for him. And Rob Galbraith is the one pushing the buttons, answering your phone calls. Rob, I feel like I haven't seen you in forever. How have you been?
That's forever, but I'm here, ready to go.
Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for being here on a Friday. I just checked the traffic. Looks absolutely terrible. Just horrendous. It's red all over the place. I figured out the only place I actually trust the traffic report is on the app, that little Maps
app.
On that's the only one I trust. I mean, I certainly don't trust the radio people at all. I know I'm not allowed to say this. I don't trust any of those at all. It's so delayed. You'll be stuck in traffic, and they're, it's smooth sailing getting home tonight.
Under the bus we go.
I'm pretty sure I'm stopped.
Under the bus we go.
I am stopped in traffic right now, and you're saying no issues. But I'm telling you, this little app one works really well.
What's the name of this app?
I don't know. It just says Maps, man.
Oh, Maps?
Yeah, I think it's connected to the one that tells me where I'm going. It knows where I'm going. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Ooh.
Every time I get in the car, I get this message saying 15 minutes to home. I'm like, dude, how do you know where I'm going? Seriously, I don't like this at all. Or when I get in the car in the morning when I leave my house, it says 25 minutes to work. I don't like this. How do you know where I'm going? I don't like it at all. But anyway. What are you going to do, right? This is just the life we live. Everyone knows what you're doing. It's insane.
The computers are getting smarter than we are.
You're low on milk.
Yeah, soon that's going to happen. I was having lunch today, and I was thinking about something. I was at lunch with it was a business meeting, a guy I'd never met.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting there and noticed my elbows were on the table. Mm-hmm. And I noticed he was kind of staring at my elbows.
Oh, etiquette.
I was like, I don't understand why it's wrong to put your elbows on the table. I don't get it. Can someone explain to me why that is bad or lacks class? Why? I mean, he had his arms on the table, like this.
Sure. Forearm.
But I just kind of had an elbow there, kind of resting my elbow. Why is this rude? Don't someone tell me why it's rude.
It's like you have to protect your food like you're in prison or something.
I'm not protecting my food. I'm happy to share my food with you, but I don't see any problem.
Up on the table, all rude.
I just don't see any problem whatsoever putting my elbow on the table. I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
So what is it? You have any idea?
No, I have
Can someone
none.
Google this for me and let me know why it is?
Your grandma didn't like it. That's it.
I absolutely not. But I'm going to do it more often. I don't care.
If an etiquette fan out there knows the answer, give us a call at 407-916-5400. Attorney Justin Clark wants to know.
This is Tom Benson. He's been pulling double duty all week. I imagine you're a little tired. He's been waking up at midnight, ladies and gentlemen, to prepare for the morning show on the station, Bud Hettinger. And then he comes in to do my show with me in the afternoon. So how do you do this?
It's very tiring. And the worst thing about it is, when you have to be somewhere first thing in the morning, you can't sleep because you're afraid you'll oversleep.
Absolutely.
That was me all week long.
All right. Anyway, we got a lot of legal things to talk about. We're going to talk about your personal injury case and insurance and what policies do you need. We're going to talk a little bit about IRS problems. If you have received that little white envelope with the green sticky thing on top that says certified mail, please, you need to listen up. I'm going to tell you how to solve your IRS issues. We're going to go into a little bit about foreclosure and short sales and loan modifications, deed in lieu. So if you're underwater on a home, Or even if you've been through a foreclosure in the last few years and you're wondering how long it'll take before you can buy a house again, you're going to want to listen up. And we're also going to talk a little bit about bankruptcy, some changes in the bankruptcy laws, and some ways to really protect your assets, even if you have a lot of debt. So many things to get to. We'll get right into it. Again, if you have telephone calls, please feel free. 407-916-5400. If you don't want to talk to me on the air, that's fine. Brandon Stewart standing by at the law firm, 321-282-1055. The website, www.youhavepower.com. That is youhavepower.com, where I'd be thrilled if you follow me on Twitter at ATTY, Justin Clark. Did you notice I've been posting a little bit more?
Yes, I have.
I'm getting better.
Yeah. Well, the important thing is last week we mentioned this when Brandon was here, that he put a few plugs in for people to follow you on Twitter. And the key is that you promise to follow them back.
I promise you, if you follow me at ATTY, Justin Clark, I will follow you right back. So, Tom Benson, let's think about this for a second. You're a car owner, obviously. Most of you are. Mm-hmm. Most of you, your cars aren't going very fast right now because you're stuck in traffic, even though the traffic report said that everything is fine.
Yeah.
You know?
I got it.
But you have to have insurance, right?
Sure.
And it is mandatory to have certain types of insurance. But what do you really need? And what does it really protect? So here's how it works, basically. Everyone in Florida has to have PIP, okay? PIP, you've heard of this, right? And what PIP does, it simply is no fault, and it pays your medical bills.
Personal injury protection.
That's right, exactly right. So if you have an accident, you get hurt, it's going to cover the first $10,000 of your medical treatment. Mm-hmm. So you have to have PIP. But the real issue is the BI, the bodily injury coverage, and how much should you really have? And let me tell you how it works. Most people have at least a $10,000 policy. And what that means is if you hit someone, you cause the accident, and someone gets injured, your insurance will pay them up to $10,000. Mm-hmm. But if you cause this accident and they have a ton of medical treatment, more than likely it's going to be way, way more than $10,000. So they could sue you for as much as their damages are. So they could go hire a lawyer and get any kind of judgment they want against you, just like if you have an American Express card that you don't pay. Mm-hmm. They can go get a judgment against you and come really take money out of your bank account once they have the judgment. Mm. So that's why you want to make sure you have a significant amount of insurance to protect your assets. What do I recommend? And what I recommend obviously depends a little bit on what kind of income or what kind of net worth you really have. I mean, what could people really come get from you if they get a judgment? Sure. But, I mean, you really need to get at least that $100,000 policy. I mean, really, it's not that expensive. I mean, it's not that bad, and I highly recommend it. But another thing that you absolutely need to look into, outside of the BI coverage, the bodily injury coverage, I'm recommending at least $100,000, probably even more. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Whatever you do, check the little box next to UM coverage. You know what that is?
That is
It is uninsured motorist coverage. Yeah. And what that means, if someone were to hit you, let's say someone rear ends you, and they have no insurance whatsoever, what are you going to get? You can go sue them and try to take money from them, but that's very difficult to do.
And there's nothing to get. There's nothing to get.
You can't suck blood out of a turnip, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But if you have the UM coverage, your own insurance company steps in just like the person that hit you. Mm. So let's say you have a $100,000 UM policy. Now you can get up to $100,000 from your own insurance company due to the negligence of someone else. Mm-hmm. So by all means, I've seen it so many times where I've had clients come in, have had a terrible accident, and then the person that hit them only had $10,000 or had zero.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're just shut out. They just can't get anything. Yeah. But if you had UM coverage, which is not super expensive, you're going to be able to sue essentially your own insurance company, and they're going to pay you that out, just like if the person who hit you had that amount of insurance.
Then can your insurance company drop you because you made a claim?
Absolutely not. It wasn't your fault. All so right. They're not going to drop you for going against your own UM policy. Mm-hmm. So if you go looking for insurance, by all means, please check the box next to UM and make sure you have an adequate amount of BI coverage to protect yourself against any other type of lawsuit.
And here's a tip. If you can, don't pay monthly. Pay semi-annual or annual because you get a big discount.
It's definitely cheaper to pay it that way. You got that right. Most people, I find, do pay monthly, but try not to because it definitely gets a little more expensive.
Yeah.
But let's say that you do get in an accident. Yeah, you absolutely need to hire a lawyer. Please don't try to do this sort of thing on your own. The insurance company will take advantage of you. They'll act like they're on your team, but they're not. Their goal, that claims adjuster's goal, is absolutely to pay you as little as they possibly can.
That's right.
And they get rewarded for paying out as little as they can, essentially. Maybe not technically rewarded, but they're getting a pat on the back there at the office, at the insurance company. So if you do, you need to hire a lawyer. And the good thing about a personal injury case is you don't have to pay cash out of pocket. It's not a lot of the areas of practice that we talk about on this show is I talk about flat fees because my law firm, we offer flat fees on virtually every single case.
Sure.
But you have to pay that up front and over time. Whereas in a personal injury case, you pay via a contingency fee. Now, what is a contingency fee? A contingency fee simply means you don't have to pay the lawyer anything until they recover money from you. Let's say that you settle the case for $10,000, then you're going to pay a certain percentage of that $10,000 to the lawyer, plus the cost. So any cost that the lawyer puts out, they recover that as well out of the fee.
Sure.
But what is a normal contingency fee? Normally, it's a third. 33.3333% is the typical contingency fee that a personal injury attorney is going to charge. However, if indeed you're not able to settle the case,
and you go to court
prior to filing a lawsuit, because, ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest, most lawyers don't really want to have to file suit. They'd rather settle it before doing that.
Sure.
Because filing suit is a whole other animal.
Saves a lot of work.
So what they do, they'll normally tell you to get all the medical treatment you're going to get and get a letter from the doctor saying that you're at MMI, meaning you're done, you're not going to get any better. And then they'll send a demand letter with all of your medical bills and come up with a demand, say, we want $100,000 for John Smith or whatever. And then the insurance company, normally within a couple weeks to 30 days, will respond back with an offer. And then that's when the negotiation starts. But if you're not happy with the amount you're going to get, then you might tell your lawyer, I'm not taking it, file suit. Here's a little caveat, and you need to understand this. When you do that, virtually every law firm is now going to increase that 33% up to 40%.
Yeah. Because
you're filing suit. So in the retainer agreement or the contingency fee agreement, you need to look out for, okay, if they file suit, it's going to be 40%. Because you need to take that math into account when you say, well, maybe I should just settle for the offer they gave me as opposed to filing suit because I could get less if we file suit. And then the cost skyrocket as well.
Sure.
So once you file suit, now you've got filing fees, deposition fees, witness fees, expert witness fees.
Sure.
And all of these things really add up. So a lot of times what you'll find, you don't settle with what the insurance company wants to pay you. So you want to sue. I want my day in court. But then turns out at the end of the day, you're actually getting significantly less after this jury awards you whatever they want to award you.
Yeah.
And it could be zero.
Yeah.
Now, for the most part, juries do not like personal injury cases. And when you go to court, when you go to that trial, the jury can't even know that the person you're suing has insurance. If someone were to say, oh, we're going after this guy's insurance policy, so don't worry, we're not taking money from Guy, that's a mistrial. Your case gets kicked out of court, essentially, because you can't say that.
You're influencing the jury.
The jury cannot know that the person that you're getting sued has insurance. So let's say you're suing a nice little 80-year-old lady who has $10 to her name, living on Social Security. The jury thinks that you're a real punk for bringing her to court and suing her and taking her Social Security check. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas in reality, she has a $100,000 insurance policy, and my guy has a broken neck, and we don't really care if the insurance company has to pay the $100,000 because they're making a ton of money.
Wow.
The insurance companies are collecting all this money, building buildings, and trying to pay out as little as they possibly can.
But don't you think a lot of jury members kind of have that in the back of their mind, that it's really the insurance company?
I don't know. Yeah. I really don't know. And a lot of the research suggests that they do not understand that because it cannot come up at trial. And quite frankly, I think that as a society and as a legal system, we might want to look at not being able to say that. I mean, because, in theory, the whole reasoning behind it is they say it's prejudicial.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe it's really not. So when you do, if you were injured in an accident, make sure you get a lawyer, please. Don't ever try to do it yourself. But also take those things into consideration when it comes time to decide if you actually want to file suit and try to go to trial in this case or settle out with the insurance company.
Let's say you're in an accident. What's the first thing you should do if you're in an accident but not injured?
The first thing you need to do in an accident is get a police report. So as soon as it happens, if they're like, nah, we're all set, I'll call you later. I'll send you $500 in the mail. Don't do that. Please make sure that we get an accident report, get all of their insurance, document everything. Make sure you get their insurance information. And then if you're hurting, you got to get to the doctor.
But if you have a cell phone too, you should probably take some pictures.
You need to take pictures of everything.
Yeah.
Take pictures of absolutely anything you can possibly get, the car, any injuries that you have, the other car, a picture of the guy who hit you or the girl who hit you, whatever. Because I assure you, later down the road or 2 weeks from now, people's memory gets a little fuzzy. They're like, no, it wasn't my fault, even though clearly you were there. Clearly you know it was their fault, but they don't want their insurance rates to go up.
Right.
You know, they don't want the policy to be more expensive, so they're going to start lying oftentimes to their own insurance company saying it wasn't their fault. And now we have a fight. Now what proof do I have? Now how are we now going to prove that it was actually the other person's fault? So document everything. Get all of their information. Get a police report if at all possible, and make sure you save that all in a nice, safe place, and then hire a lawyer.
And oftentimes you may feel okay immediately after an accident, but then the next day or two,
almost
things happen.
Almost every time in relatively minor accidents, people will say, "I feel okay. I don't need to go to the hospital. I'm okay." But then the next day or 2 days later, the back is hurting.
Yeah,
it creeps up on you. This is no kind of BS. This really does happen. This is not me being an ambulance chaser by any means. You really sometimes don't feel the pain for 1, 2, 3, a week later.
Yeah,
1, 2, 3 days later, or even a week later. And you need to get to the doctor. You need to go get checked out, not just to help your case. You need to make sure that you don't have significant damage to that spine.
Isn't there a certain amount of days you have to see?
There's
a doctor?
a time limit. Yeah, there's a time limit to go to the doctor.
Yeah, absolutely. You have that, and that's more on the PIP side. So you have to you need to get medical treatment within a certain amount of days, or you might not qualify for the PIP. So you really need to be careful about that as well. So my advice, if in an accident, document everything. Get to the doctor. And hire a lawyer. Hire someone like me, Justin Clark. If you have any questions about any sort of accident case or any other type of case for that matter, we're at 407-916-5400. My attorney, Brandon Stewart, is standing by at the office at 321-282-1055. The website, www.youhavepower.com. That is youhavepower.com. Or follow me on Twitter. I will follow you back at ATTY. Justin Clark. I'm here with Tom Benson and Rob Galbraith, as always, every Friday on News Radio 102.5. Justin Clark. Many more things to talk about, too. We got a little time left. I hope you're having a fantastic Friday, getting home safely. We're going to talk about bankruptcy, IRS, and maybe most importantly at the end, we're going to talk about the foreclosure things. People who have lost their house to foreclosure, can I buy again? We're going to talk about short sales if you want to get rid of your house. We're going to talk about loan modifications if you want to keep your house. Deed in lieu of foreclosures or bankruptcy, Chapter 7 and Chapter 13, all coming up on the show. But let's get right into the foreclosure thing, Tom. Okay. I think that the foreclosure crisis is almost officially over.
Oh, good.
We've been going through the foreclosure crisis in this state since at least 2008, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we really started in about 2008. I think the real height of it was maybe 2010, 11, 12. But we started seeing foreclosure cases back in 2008. So that's, 8 years ago now? I mean, that's a long time. We've handled, just my firm alone has handled something like 10,000 cases.
Really?
For foreclosures.
Wow.
And now a lot of my foreclosure clients are saying, well, I had a foreclosure, or I filed bankruptcy, or I did a short sale. Can I buy a house again? And it's a fantastic question because inevitably, when you go through a foreclosure, your credit is going to take a significant hit.
Sure.
Your credit goes down to where you're not going to qualify. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not 2006, where all you need is a pulse and a pen to get a mortgage. In 2006, you literally would walk in and talk to the mortgage broker, and they'd be, oh, cool, credit score looks good, sign here. No documents, no tax returns, no pay stubs, no bank statements. You really just needed to sign the paper.
Boy, that's changed.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Though that ship has sailed, guys. In this day and age, you have to provide all of this financial information to get a mortgage. But I find a lot of people saying, I'll just keep renting because they feel like, my credit's still too bad. I went through a foreclosure. Guys, don't feel that way. Now is still a fantastic time to buy a house, or maybe now is the best time ever to buy a house. The market has come up substantially, but it's not back where it was at the peak. But most importantly, the interest rates for mortgage are still so low.
Oh, they just went down this week.
They're historically low.
Yeah.
And most mortgage companies now will let you buy a house 2 years, 3 years, some even 1 year after a bankruptcy or foreclosure or short sale.
Wow, that's great news.
Whereas in 2009 and 10, they were saying it's going to be a 7-year waiting period. You got to wait 10 years, whatever they were saying back then. Now you can do it very quickly.
Yeah, everybody was skittish.
So even if you filed bankruptcy or done a short sale, I promise you, if you want to get back in the housing market, you want to be a homeowner again, you're tired of paying someone else's mortgage, we can look into that for you. And I'm happy to do it. Because now I don't see the interest rates ever being this low again, and they're absolutely going to start going up soon, so now's the time to do it. If you want to get back into the market, I'm going to help you fix your credit. I'm going to take you through the entire home buying process. I'm going to deal with the realtor. I'm going to handle all the contractual negotiations. I'm going to make sure you're only paying the fees that you should be paying. I'm going to make sure if you find something in the house you don't like, we can get the deposit back for you.
This sounds like the Under One Roof program.
You got it.
Okay.
It's a home buyer protection program, really, for anyone who's trying to buy a house. And I'm going to make sure you get a mortgage with no fees and the lowest rate you can get. There's no way I'm going to let some mortgage company jack up the rates on you or make you pay thousands and thousands of dollars in closing costs that you should not have to pay. You know, I always use the analogy. So mortgage companies, they make money off of interest, right? That's
Sure.
how they make money.
Sure.
Yet for my entire life, they've been getting away with charging processing fees and this fee and that fee. It's like going to McDonald's drive-thru and you pay $2 for a cheeseburger, but then you have to pay 30 cents for a cash register fee and 22 cents for the chef fee. It just doesn't make sense.
And a processing fee.
And that's why I will make sure we get a mortgage without any of these garbage fees. Because there's no reason for them. There's no reason you should have to pay these garbage fees.
Well, the greatest thing about having an attorney at a closing is the fact that the attorney and no one else generally reads the fine print.
And that's what we do. And I'm going to go to closing with you. So when you go and sign your life away, sign all of these papers. The biggest purchase you're ever going to make. We're going to be sitting in a room with at least 4 other people who are only getting paid if you sign those documents.
That's right.
The realtor's not getting paid unless you sign. The mortgage guy is not getting paid unless you sign. The title company is not getting paid unless you sign. The seller not getting paid unless you sign. So they're all staring at you, looking at your right hand, if you're right-handed, hoping you put the pen in your hand and start signing your life away. Do you think they're going to be like, ooh, something looks wrong? No, they're not.
No.
They're not. They want to get paid.
Yeah.
And that's why we created the Under One Roof program. More information on the website at www.youhavepower.com. What we do is we help protect you through the home buying process.
Well, the great thing about the Under One Roof program is not only for people who have been victims of foreclosure or have had a short sale or whatever, but it's also great for first-time buyers.
It's probably the best for first-time home buyers because they're the ones that are the easiest to take advantage of because they haven't been through it before.
Right.
They're naive.
Yeah.
So, most of the realtors here are fantastic, but there are bad apples in every group, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are bad lawyers out there, bad doctors, bad radio co-hosts for that matter.
Say what?
But we are going to make sure you do not get taken advantage of. We're going to make sure that you are completely protected throughout the entire process from dealing with the credit, handling the negotiations with the real estate agent, making sure you get a mortgage with no fees, and they're going to be there to represent you at closing when you sign your life away with all the people in the room crossing their fingers, hoping you sign because they're not getting paid if you don't sign. We're going to be there to make sure what you're signing is what you should be signing.
Now, this all sounds very good. However, I work Monday through Friday. How can I get a chance to talk to an attorney about my situation?
The wonderful thing about my law firm is I meet people on Saturdays, and I do that for a reason, Tom. I've had a lot of clients over the last 10 years who have been going through a difficult time.
Sure.
Money has been a problem. That's why they had to go through a bankruptcy or they went through a foreclosure. So the last thing I want to do is have a client who's going through a difficult time already have to take off work and make less money to come see me.
Right.
So that's why I have said I will meet people on Saturdays. I do it every single Saturday. I'm happy to do it. If you ever need to talk to us, give us a call, 321-282-1055. In addition to Saturday appointments, we do flat fees. Almost every single case we handle is done on a low flat fee, meaning you know what you're going to pay. You're not going to get a bill every month. You know exactly what it's going to cost to have a lawyer, and I'm telling you, you're going to love it. You're going to really enjoy working with us. I promise you. And I know on the other side of this break, we've got Many more things to talk about. IRS debt, bankruptcy, foreclosure. My name is Justin Clark. Give us a call, 407-916-5400. Talk to you in a minute.
WFLA is available everywhere you want to listen on our free iHeartRadio app. Download it now.
You're listening to You Have Power Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark. For personalized help with your legal issues, visit youhavepower.com or call 321-282-1055. Now, back in studio with more expert legal advice, here's Justin Clark.
Who did that new intro? I don't know if I like it or not.
Back in the studios. I kind of like that.
You do like it?
Sounds big time.
Who did it? Is that the same guy who did the other intro?
That's Mike Roberts. No, this is Mike Roberts.
Who's that?
He's a local guy here in the building.
But I have to stroke him a check or no?
No, I don't think so.
Cool.
He'll take it, but I don't think you have to offer one.
I don't remember stroking that check. I like it. We'll see. What do you think, Rob?
I like Mark Roberts. No doubt.
No, the new intro.
I like the intro.
You're lying.
No, I'm not lying.
Stop being company guy.
I'm a company guy.
Just be honest here.
All the way.
Behind the law with me. It's all about honesty on the show, Rob. Be honest.
I love iHeartRadio.
All right. More to talk about here. Justin Clark with you on a Friday. Hope you're getting home safely. Hope you have a fantastic weekend planned. I'm back here live in the studio after a little vacay to Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to give us a call, 407-916-5400. Attorney Brandon Stewart is at the office for all of your legal questions. If you don't want to talk to me on the air, that number, 321-282-1055. I promise you that is not in Melbourne, Florida. It's right here in Maitland. By the way, if any of you are thinking about relocating your home or office to Maitland, let me give you a piece of advice. This is the best advice I'll give you on the show all night.
Oh, boy.
Don't do it. Don't even think about it. You will regret that decision for the rest of your life, or at least for the next, 7 years. How long is this construction project going on here?
For at least 6 years that I know of.
This is the most terrible place to live or work, I'm telling you.
2021, I think, is when
if you try to leave Maitland going either direction at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you might as well not do it.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't understand. I don't understand what goes on around here.
I don't understand why more businesses don't stagger their get-out times.
I don't understand why more businesses don't leave.
No, don't.
Why don't you just leave? I'm here. I mean, you know where my office is? I'm right.
Sure, you're right
So
next
the radio
door.
station we're in right now, the iHeart Media building, is right next to my law firm. I literally walk across I actually park in your parking lot. But if I had to leave my office at 5 o'clock, I don't know what I would do.
Right. Well, we have to leave here, at 7 o'clock tonight?
But it's
when
still
the show's
trafficy
over?
at 7
It's
sometimes.
not that bad.
The Maitland Little League fields are the best in the county. They're really nice out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they have no restaurants here. They have 1,000 businesses. I don't know how many employees here. No restaurants whatsoever. You can go to lunch at one place, Sam Sneed's. That's it. People call and they're like, oh, well, let's have lunch today. Let's do it near your office. I'm like, Sam Sneed's, I guess. That's it.
Yeah, RDV Sportsplex is right there.
That's
beautiful.
There's an Applebee's across the street here.
Applebee's. Who wants to go to Applebee's?
Where did you go today where you got
Antonio's.
chastised
Antonio's in Maitland.
For putting your elbows on the table.
Look, I wouldn't say I was chastised, but I saw the dude looking. I could see he was kind of looking, and I was like, yeah, so what? I put my elbows on the table.
Deal with it.
I don't care. What are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it? How you doing? What are you going to do?
Elbows on the table. Who cares?
My bad habit is we're in a restaurant, I start playing with the silverware, and because I get impatient for the food to come, and I'm making noise, and my wife is looking at me like, what are you doing?
She gets annoyed.
Oh, very
all
much.
Fidgety.
Yeah.
Wanting your food.
Very much.
What's your favorite restaurant, Rob?
Oh, my favorite restaurant?
Yeah.
I'll go for P.F. Chang's any day.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, sure.
Place is good for you.
Yeah, it's really good.
Healthy.
And I like sandwiches, too. Any sandwich shop is good.
So if you guys have to go out to lunch here near the studio, where would you go?
Near the studio?
Yeah, around here.
Like I say, 5 minutes ago, you got to just go to the fast food.
So Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Go
Speaking
to
of Chick-fil-A, have you
Mall.
seen the lines at these Chick-fil-A's?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this place must be making a mint.
Very popular. Yeah.
I mean,
Don't say
every
anything
time
bad
every time I've tried to go there, it's like, no, thank you, ma'am, because the line like loops around, and then you see like a poor Arby's next door, and nobody's there.
Nobody's there.
But it's a family place, Chick-fil-A. You'll see moms and the kids, and they're in the in the playroom.
And it's just fun to go to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
If I became the president of or CEO of Chick-fil-A, you know what I'd do?
Open on Sundays?
Absolutely. First thing I'm like, all right, well, number one, open Sunday.
It would be so crowded.
We're definitely going to open on Sundays.
Because everybody does that. It's like, let's go to Chick-fil-A. It's Sunday. No.
Yeah. Ooh. So, let's talk. I promised we'd talk about foreclosure. And I want to tell you a little bit about a foreclosure and what's going on in the foreclosure world here locally.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really sad because one of the reasons why this whole travesty happened is because a lot of people here lost their jobs.
Right.
Let's face it. Florida is based upon construction, real estate, that sort of thing, right? Tons of construction jobs, and all these construction jobs went away. There were decisions made in boardrooms in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
which created a nightmare for us economically here in Florida.
But as like you also said last half hour, there's a lot of people who got, not a lot, but I'm sure there's many people who got their mortgages because they had a pulse and a pen.
And they were giving them whatever they wanted,
Sure.
okay?
Yeah.
So what happened is people lost their jobs, and they would call bank and say, hey, bank, can you help me? Can I miss a payment or two? And bank will be, absolutely. Sure. But I need you to miss 3 payments first. So after you miss 3 payments, you give us a call. Oh, great. Wow, they were so helpful. 3 months later, you call, and first of all, the joker who you were talking to 3 months ago, I promise you, doesn't work there anymore. You're talking to someone else. And they're like, well, I don't have any record of anyone from here saying that, sir. We would never say don't make your payment.
Yeah.
But they did.
Yeah.
They did over and over and over again. I know they did. I heard it a million times myself. So my clients got behind in their mortgage payments because the bank told them not to pay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now, over the last few years, they've been in this foreclosure process, right? And they've been working on the loan modification this whole time. And the bank says, yeah, we got all your paperwork. We're reviewing it. And then you call back for an update. Well, I don't see your paperwork here. Must have lost it. So this loan modification process takes a very, very, very long time. So while you're working on the loan mod, you're also in foreclosure, meaning the bank is trying to come take your house and kick you out of your house. That's what a foreclosure is. So back in the day, we would oftentimes file a motion to cancel the foreclosure sale, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we would go and say, look, Judge, we're working on a loan modification. This bank is jerking my client around, has been for years, as you can see by all the documentation I have. And, you know, the bank would either say, okay, Judge, we agree, give us more time, or the bank would say, no, we want to take the house. And most of the time, the judges would give us some time to finish the modification.
A little bit of a compromise.
Now, I believe these judges are instructed to not cancel foreclosure sales because as a state court system, I believe they want the foreclosure cases off the docket. So while there have been new laws, new fast-track foreclosure laws to try to speed up this foreclosure process, that really hasn't done anything. In fact, it hasn't done anything at all to speed it up. What has sped up the foreclosure process is judges are not allowing motions to cancel sale very often. Now, look, there are a lot of great judges out there, and a lot of them will. And then maybe there's some judges who don't want to do it.
Sure.
And that's fine. That's their prerogative. It's their courtroom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there have been times recently where we've had a motion to cancel sale, and the bank has come there as well and said, we also want the sale canceled because we're working on a modification.
Okay.
We want to help save these people's houses. And we weren't afforded the opportunity to do that, even though both parties agreed. And that's what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. If you're going through the process, I assure you it's going a little faster than it did in the past. I don't know the exact average right now, but back in the day, I mean, you're looking at 3-4 years at least.
Yeah.
Now you're looking closer to probably a year and a half. So let's say you get to that point. You know, you've been through the entire foreclosure process. You went to summary judgment or a trial. They got a judgment, and after that happens, they put a sale date, a foreclosure sale date.
Right.
After the judgment's entered, there's a sale date, normally 30, 60, 90 days down the road. If you don't do anything before then and the judge won't cancel the sale, you're going to lose your home. The house is going to foreclosure. It's going to be sold on the proverbial courthouse steps.
Right, right.
But what can you do in that situation? You're desperate to save your home. What can you do?
Johnny likes going to his school. You got friends in the neighborhood.
It's going to cost more to rent. You
Yeah.
love your house. You know, your parents bought the house. You grew up in it. Whatever. There's a sentimental attachment to the home.
So what can be done?
You're going to have to file bankruptcy at that point. If you file bankruptcy, the foreclosure case is automatically stayed. Now, most foreclosure sales happen at 11 a.m. in the morning. So, in theory, you can file bankruptcy up until 10:59 a.m. and it automatically stops it. It puts a hold.
Wow.
It puts a stay on the foreclosure case. So, if you are desperate to save your home and you do have a foreclosure case pending and you have a sale date coming up, I just want you to know that you do have options. And I'm the guy to call if you need to talk about those options because I've dealt with this thousands and thousands and thousands of times.
So if you file for bankruptcy
Yeah.
and stop the process of selling your house, what happens next? You got to go through with the bankruptcy, right?
Yeah. So there are two types of bankruptcy, a Chapter 7 and a Chapter 13. They're both bankruptcy, both stop it, but they're very different, okay? So if you want to save the house, you want to do what's called the bankruptcy mediation program. Now, this is a fantastic tool, and the federal judges really have the power to slap the banks around if they don't cooperate. So while in a regular modification outside of bankruptcy, these banks can lose the paperwork. They don't care, and it can be really a nightmare. But in the bankruptcy mediation program, they've got to be on point. You submit all your paperwork through this portal, and they have to make a decision very, very quickly. So essentially, when you file bankruptcy, you file it, and then about 30 days later, you have what's called a 341 meeting. Takes 5 minutes. We go down to the courthouse together and talk to the trustee, and they might ask a couple questions. It's normally quite simple. And then about 30 days after that, we have a mediation. So we actually have a mediator, me, you, and the bank's attorney. We'll all be in the same room.
All right.
And that's when you really sit down with the bank and try to hammer out this modification.
Who goes first, the bank or or you?
Really us. I mean, in a normal mediation, any other type of case, the plaintiff always goes first. But in these types of cases, we normally do.
Got it.
And there's not a lot of negotiation, so to speak. The negotiation happens when you submit all your financial paperwork. Because how it really works is they want your payment to be 31% of your gross monthly income. So you submit all your pay stubs, checks, whatever, and we try to come up with a payment that is 31% of your gross monthly income. And when I say payment, I mean PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance.
Sure.
So that whole payment should be 31% of your gross monthly income. So really right now, if think about it, think about how much you make gross before anyone takes anything out. How much do you make per month gross? And multiply it by 0.31. And if you're paying more than that for your mortgage, you're paying too much. There are a lot of ways around it. So anyone who's paying more than 31% of your income towards your mortgage, it's too much, and you have other options, and you need to explore those options with me or someone else. Because first of all, if you're paying 31% of your gross monthly income, that means you're paying like 50% of your available income.
Yeah.
And that only leaves you 50% for all your other bills. You know? That's not a lot. That's really not a lot of money. That's close to making you house poor, so to speak.
Yeah.
And we don't want you to be house poor. So if you're in a foreclosure, sale date coming up, and you want to save your house, you do have options. And that option is by filing a Chapter 7 or 13 bankruptcy. And we tell you the difference. So a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which you can do a mediation and modification program in this Chapter 7, whereas used to you could not, now you can. The only problem is it's a little expensive up front to do it. So a lot of times we will start our clients in a Chapter 13 because you can get away with less money up front. To for all these legal fees and filing fees and things like that. But in a Chapter 7, it's more like I'm cashing in on my chips. It's really an easy process. You get rid of all of your debt, but you can't have a lot of money. I mean, if you have a ton of money sitting in the bank, you can't really do it because you've got to give up your money. You have to you essentially can't have a lot of assets to do a Chapter 7.
Assets and income limitations.
Yeah, but even more importantly, you've got to go through what's called the means test. So you can only make a certain amount of money per year, and if you make more than that, you can't do the Chapter 7. You can't do the easy bankruptcy, which is the Chapter 7. But you can do the Chapter 13. Chapter 13 is a little more complex, and think about it more as a repayment plan or a reorganization of your debts because you're going to pay a certain percentage of your debts back through this Chapter 13 program. So, but 13 is the same. You file it, you go to the 341 meeting, you go to mediation, but the difference is you're making a monthly payment to the Chapter 13 trustee.
For how long?
Which includes your house payment, your car payments, and a certain percentage of your unsecured debts, which are credit cards and things like that. So it's more complicated, and you do have to make a monthly payment, and you feel like you're kind of under the radar of the federal court a little bit.
Yeah.
But Chapter 13 can be an incredibly effective tool to solve any sort of financial problem that you have, lower your mortgage payment, get rid of any second lien you might have, sometimes lower your car payment if you have a high interest rate, and also wipe out the credit card debt as well. But make no mistake, you're going to be paying the trustee for typically 3 to up to 5 years even through the course of this plan. Sometimes it can be a lot shorter depending on a lot of the variables, but it's certainly more complicated. But I'm not saying this just because I do bankruptcy work, But bankruptcy is not nearly as bad of a word as it seems. I remember
used to be a scarlet letter.
I remember back in the day listening to who's that guy, Ramsey on this?
Yeah, Dave Ramsey. Sure.
He was telling a story about how he filed bankruptcy or something like that. And I was like, oh my God, that's like life ending.
Yeah.
It's not. Bankruptcy has saved the financial life of so many of my clients. I can't tell you. So many of my clients who come in so stressed out, half suicidal, it seems that sometimes, having problems at home because of financial issues. And in the grand scheme of things,
that's basically because,
wipe it out.
Yeah, because they don't know all the options.
Wipe it out. Be done with it. Now you don't owe anyone any money.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, you filed bankruptcy, whatever. You can buy a new house in 2 years, 3 years, sometimes even a year. But now you have no other debt. You don't have these debt collectors calling you over and over, making you feel like you're 2 feet tall. No offense to anyone who's 2 feet tall. So bankruptcy can be a really fantastic tool to save your financial life, I promise. And even you don't have to do it. Feel free to come talk to me. I would never, ever charge you for a consultation. Let's sit down and go through it. And most of the time, I recommend not doing it. Most people, I say, you know what? I don't think it's that bad. We don't need to do it.
Okay.
But for the people that I do say we need to do it, I come up with a great plan, and you're going to feel so much better emotionally and mentally that we don't have any more of this debt.
When people come in for a consultation, what should they bring with them? How should they prepare for that?
Just know what kind of debt you have. Okay, you don't need to bring in a box of paperwork, but just have a general idea of what your interest rate is on your house if you have one, and how much debt you have out there, and that'll give me a great idea of what exactly we need to do to help your financial situation. My name is Justin Clark. You're listening to Behind the Law with me on News Radio 102.5. You can call us at 407-916-5400. The website is www.youhavepower.com. That is youhavepower.com. You can call attorney Brandon Stewart standing by if you don't want to talk to us on the air at 321-282-1055, or follow me on Twitter. I will follow you back at ATTY. Justin Clark here with Tom Benson and Rob Galbraith on a fantastic Friday night. Hope you have a fantastic weekend planned and not stuck in traffic like I'm going to be in 9 minutes.
No, you're not. Take the back roads.
Oh, I forgot. I've got to take Uber home tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't have my car here.
Oh.
Also, we have a traffic report coming up at 7:03 that'll get you home safely.
Don't listen to it. I mean, can't we have a helicopter or something? Do we have any traffic helicopters in this? Isn't this town big enough to have a traffic copter? Do we have one or no?
We don't. But
I don't mean this station, but is there a?
Yes.
There is?
Yes.
Well, they do a terrible job. And that's not this station.
I can agree with that.
Well,
that's not this station, right? So I can say it?
It's not us.
Yeah.
They can't fly over every little, they can't be everywhere.
Yeah, but if you're high enough, you can pretty much get an idea.
Tell me about your Uber experience.
I love it.
Do you?
Uber's the best thing. Did you ever take it?
No.
Sure.
Rob?
Oh yeah. My teenagers take it.
I mean,
it
Uber.
works.
Uber's just terrific. I don't have to. I don't think I have to. Anyone out there who knows Uber, it's just unbelievably terrific. Do you remember back in the days where you'd have to call these scummy cab companies, and you almost
hitchhike or anything.
You almost feel lucky when they show up,
and they're expensive.
And they're expensive. And Uber's incredibly cheap. I mean, it really is. It's cheap, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great service. I mean, you can't. There's nothing really wrong with it.
I have a little place over on the beach in like Ormond Beach area, and I live in like Lake Mary area. Let's say. Sometimes I will take an Uber out there. It's like $35.
Is that right?
Do you know what it would cost if I called one of the big cab companies? I mean, it would be at least 100, right?
Yeah.
120.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I don't know. I highly recommend, and you don't have to talk to anyone. You just get your phone out and go boom, 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 and the car's there. I love it. It's the best. All right, so we went through bankruptcy. Let's talk IRS for a second.
Uh-oh.
Because bankruptcy, ladies and gentlemen, can oftentimes wipe out your IRS debt. IRS debt is maybe the most scary debt you can have because the Internal Revenue Service is by far the most aggressive collection company, is what it essentially is, in the United States.
Powerful.
And they have more power than any other collection company because they can legitimately go into your bank account and take money out. And they can legitimately send a letter to your boss and say, yep, you need to send us this money. They can do that. I mean, with a couple of letters sent to you, they can get in your bank account and take your money. It's scary stuff. And now this government needs money more than they've ever needed in the past. So they're being more aggressive with their collections. But it's a little bit of a win-win, because here's the deal. So they're being more aggressive because they need money, but they're also working deals more than ever because, well, they need money. So the two most effective tools for dealing with IRS problems, one, a payment plan, okay? Or two, an offer and compromise. So with the payment plan, what you do is we do it for you. We're sort of the middleman. You know, you don't have to be the bad guy.
Right.
We're going to go in there and work on your IRS debt, work with the IRS to try to, first of all, get a lot of those penalties waived.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice, if you have any tax problems, the amount you owe is way more than you owed back in the day because of all these penalties.
Sure.
So most of the time, we can get those waived and then get us on a reasonable payment plan that you can pay over the course of several years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now you don't have to worry about them coming to take your money. Did you know the IRS can now take your passport? If you owe money to the IRS, they now have the right to take your passport away. I'm not making this up. This is the truth.
Is that because they're afraid of flight?
I don't know. It seems like that might be part of it, but I'm not sure. I don't know the exact reasoning for it. Mm. Or if you don't want to get on a payment plan and you want to try to pay one lump sum, we can work on this offer and compromise. And what is that? It's essentially a settlement. It's just like if you owed Amex $10,000, you call and say, I'll give you $3,000.
Yeah.
All right? There's a little more, there's a much more in depth to it that you have to go through.
Yeah.
But it's essentially a settlement, an offer and compromise. And because the government needs money now more than they've ever needed it in the past, they are working better deals than they have worked in the past.
And
so
quicker,
they're coming after you faster.
And quicker, yeah.
But they're doing better deals.
Mm-hmm.
So now is the time, if you have IRS problems, to let us help you resolve those issues. And one of the things we need to do, guys, if you have any problems, we need to also review it for bankruptcy, because sometimes bankruptcy can wipe it all out as well. No one wants this revenue officer knocking on their door. You know how scary that is?
Yeah.
They do it. They will come to your house and knock on your door sometimes if you owe them money. No one wants that. No one wants to lose sleep over that. You know, when you wake up in the morning and you go to wellsfargo.com or whatever to see how much is in your checking and savings account, that's your life.
Yeah.
That's how you pay your bills.
Sure.
That's how you do everything. Yeah. And to know that they can come take that money, that's a scary place to be financially.
I wasn't aware that you could wipe out IRS debt in a bankruptcy.
And a lot of IRS debt you can wipe out in bankruptcy.
Wow. And
we can certainly talk about that more next week. My name is Justin Clark, ladies and gentlemen. 321-282-1055, www.youhavepower.com. Tom Benson. I don't know a lot, but I do know one thing.
You know one thing.
I will be right back here with you next week at 6 p.m. on News Radio 102.5.
Thanks for listening to You Have Power Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark from the law firm Justin Clark & Associates. For personalized help with your legal challenges, visit youhavepower.com and tune in every Friday at 6 p.m. for more expert answers to your legal questions here on News Radio 102.5 WFLA.
News, weather, traffic. News Radio 102.5 WFLA.